Hello, MMA fans. Welcome to another very exciting show. And I'm presenting to you Francisca, the MMA guru.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of the most fanatical persons in Nigeria when it comes to MMA. Trust me, she knows her onion when it comes to the fighters, when it comes to the events. So we are going to talk about UFC 249 that is coming up Saturday, the 18th of April. It's going to be headlined by Justin Gaethje against Tony Ferguson. Exactly. And which we're going to talk about another fight, Jessica Andrade, who is a former UFC flyweight champion, against
Rose
Namajunas. So I'm going to give the floor for Francisca to tell us what she thinks about the fight between Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas.
Okay. Between Jessica and Rose, I think it will be very interesting and fun to watch. I'm looking forward to it personally because the last fight, the last bout between these two.
This is the second fight, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not first. Just a couple of months ago. I think how many months?
You're talking about 6 to 8 months. I think they're about a year.
That's Rose. Rose had her head slammed directly on the ring, and it was an eyesore because it looked like she had snapped her neck.
Mm-hmm.
That's how badly she hit her head.
Yes.
And she made a quick comeback. I actually thought she'll be out, like we'd hear stories about her being hospitalized, but she made a quick comeback. We saw her at the press conference, she was talking, so I just want to see how she can, make her revenge on this one.
Okay.
And these women, you need to watch this. If you're a woman in Nigeria, find a way out to watch one of these UFC fights, especially when you see the bouts between the women. It's nothing like the regular fights you see. You're like, oh, when it's between women, it's not that intense. But hey, it is very intense. There's blood everywhere. Everybody's really fighting. It's a really interesting sport. It's real.
Okay. So what you're trying to say is that the fights are not child's play. These women are actually duking it out. That's what I say, because it's not as if when you watch the female bout that is any less intense than the male bout. For example, there was a fight that just happened recently, the championship fight between what's her name? Zhang Weili, the current champion, against Joanna Jacek. That in fact that fight, which happened about a month ago,
was brutal,
and it's being considered as one of the fights of the year. So for the Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas, just like Francisca said, it's going to be a very, very competitive fight. Why do we say that? Jessica Andrade is a former champion, like I mentioned earlier, and she has a very, very strong base in boxing. She's a power puncher and she moves forward, and she's also a wrestler. Outside that, she also has jiu-jitsu skills. You don't want a lady like Andrade taking you down. So that's and then Rose Namajunas, what's her strong points? What do you think her strong points are?
I think Rose really gets into it. She has her head in the game.
The head.
She never gets distracted.
Yeah.
I've seen a fight between Rose and Namajunas and
Joanna Jacek.
Was it Jacek? No, I don't think it was Jacek. The lady that had the white head.
Yeah, that's Joanna Jacek, the former champion.
Yeah, Jacek. So there was that fight, and I know Jacek was talking a lot of trash, talking about her family, talking about Rose's family.
Yes.
But Rose didn't let it get to her head. She kept her head in the game, and at the end of the day, she won that fight.
Exactly.
She schooled Jacek in MMA, in martial arts.
Exactly. So who's your pick?
That's an edge for her.
Okay, so Rose Namajunas, you think is very cerebral.
Yes, and I think Rose has a way of really studying her opponent's style.
Yeah.
So everything she made as a mistake at the last fight, I'm sure she's going to learn from that.
Going to correct it. So
Yeah.
I will take it that you give Rose Namajunas an edge in this fight, right?
Definitely.
Okay,
She's
great.
my girl.
Great. So now the second fight and the main event is the fight between Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje. Okay, this is a fight that I think UFC fans and MMA fans around the world would equally want to watch, because Gaethje was a late replacement for Khabib Nurmagomedov. Exactly. So most people who have been following know that there was an issue with Khabib coming back to the United States because of the restrictions due to the coronavirus situation. So Khabib could not make it back to the United States, and so they had to get a substitute. And Dana White is bent on making this fight happen, and so we decided to call up the next available contender, in this case, Justin Gaethje. So Justin Gaethje is taking this fight in the shortest possible time possible. You know, he's taking it on a week's notice. That's what he's doing. He has never done this in his career, and because of the stakes, you know, because they are fighting for the interim belt, and Tony Ferguson cannot continue to wait. Now he's going to also fight for interim belt for a second time. You know, so now between these two fighters, there's a very, they're very, very interesting because of their skill set and their styles. Tony Ferguson is one of the most dynamic fighters you would ever see in the UFC. He's one of the deadliest in terms of, okay, so what the fighting style of Tony Ferguson is what he calls snap jiu-jitsu, right? There is jiu-jitsu, the basic traditional jiu-jitsu, and there's snap jiu-jitsu, which some people will call weird jiu-jitsu. That's what I'll call it, because it does not follow the traditional thing because of Tony's type of movement. You know, so Tony, the last few opponents he has fought have ended up very, very bloody, right? Because he uses his elbows very efficiently. Tony is a guy that can submit his opponents from his back. He's doing as much damage when he's on his back as when he's on his feet. You know, he's very long. That's what it is, a terminology used in MMA, that when you fight long, that means you can use your length and your range, right? So he fights very long, and he's very, very crisp with his boxing. You know, so he will have to face a Justin Gaethje, who is a power fighter, is heavy-handed, and he has one of the most devastating kicks in MMA. Justin Gaethje has knocked out most of his opponents. He's about 19-0 right now, 19-1 or 19-2, because he's lost to two fighters since he joined the UFC. But before, he's fought. Before he came to the UFC, he was 18-0 or 17-0. I'm not too sure about that number. But when he got to the UFC, he lost two of his 4 fights, I think. So, and he's very, very devastating. Both guys have some of the best cardios in the business. So, in my own opinion, I want to slightly give the edge to Tony Ferguson, because he's been preparing for a long time. But if I'm going to be fair, it's most likely going to be a slight advantage for Tony. But anything can happen, because Justin cannot. Yes. Justin has always been waiting for this opportunity, and he has gotten it. I won't be surprised if he takes the opportunity and knocks Tony Ferguson out. Thank you, guys. Leave your comments.
All right, guys.
Bye.